Knowledge of the abyss seems to have been lost to time, but perhaps we might be able to dig through the clues and tackle one of Tyria's biggest mysteries, the All. Welcome to Mindspike. Alright, so first off, I guess I'll have to give a quick spoiler alert because I will be diving into numerous aspects of the overarching story. Not only will I touch on the personal story, everything from raids, the living story, certain collections and hidden areas will probably be touched on in this episode, so now you are warned. Yeah, we're going all in on this subject, so strap yourselves in. So for those of you only tangentially aware of what the concept of the All is, well, the All is something we've been slowly introduced to through the years of Guild Wars 2. It is known by several names, actually. The Asura calls it the Eternal Alchemy. The Marganites refer to it as the anti-cytheria. And lastly, only Octon Stonehealer, the last dwarf alive, refers to it as nature, our world, the All, loosely. As far as we know, the All is the cosmic mechanism that dictates the natural laws to which all forces and entities must abide by. This schematic, however, seems to actually just be a visual representation of a system far more complicated than anything we might supposedly comprehend. As far as I understand it, to comprehend the All would mean to comprehend the workings of the universe, something akin to a theory of everything, which in our reality is nothing more than a hypothetical, single, all-encompassing, coherent theoretical framework of physics that fully explains and links together all physical aspects of our real universe. Emphasis on the word hypothetical, because in actuality, to comprehend and simplify something at this scale seems impossible for the human mind. Still, through science, we try our best to come up with several explanations, theories, and hypotheses as to the natural laws of our given universe to provide our best shot at understanding, well, everything. Now, given the fact that Guild Wars 2 is a fictional universe, whatever theory we might ever conceive of may indeed only be partially true. Throughout the entire story, as we know it, there's always been a huge emphasis on the notion that we may never understand the All. And so, as with any given fictional universe, the writers will always have the leeway to simply change or add whatever detail they might need for the story to maintain its consistency throughout. Anyhow, this video is not to discuss storytelling or concepts of reality in a video game. What I want to discuss, however, is the many different theoretical ideas of what we might consider to be the All. In short, I want to discuss exactly what the All is and why it is so very important to the past, present, and most importantly, the future of Tyria. This subject is extremely large, and I have a lot to say, so let's start out small and work our way out. The first time we were ever really introduced to the concept as a reality and not just a theory proposed to us by the Asura was through The Living Story Season 2. Long story, very short. During The Living Story, we came in contact with a machine created by an Asura named Omad, a machine designed to tap into the cognitive functions of a Sylvari named Kiara. As the story unfolded, we found that this machine was the very catalyst which turned Kiara into the villain Scarlet Briar, or at least it opened up her mind to a broader understanding of something. But at the same time, it also opened up her mind to the Elder Dragon Mordremoth. Anyhow, as we found the machine and accidentally entered it, we were shown a vision of something we might conclude to be a representation of the All. At the time, most theories involving this vision hypothesized that the central orb represented Tyria, while the 6 outer orbs each represented a dragon: Kralkatorrik, Zaitan, Jormak, Primordus, Mordremoth, and the yet-to-be properly named Deep-Sea Dragon, Steve. Now, I'm not necessarily going to dispute these theories as much as I'm going to expand on them heavily, because I believe that what we see in this image is nothing more than a minuscule representation of the actual concept of the All, but nonetheless, I believe that this representation is key to understanding the dynamics of the system at large. Alright, so with the basic idea out of the way, let's start digging. In the Priory's library, within the Hidden Arcana, there sits a tome titled The Map of the All, written by an entity named the Apostate, who some of you may be familiar with from Guild Wars 1. The Apostate was a Marganite, one of Abaddon's servants who chose to denounce Abaddon. Abaddon was one of the 6 ancient human gods. He was, most notably, the god of secrets, who used the Bloodstone to gift magic to all races of Tyria, for reasons unknown. But the human king, Doric, pled for the gods to take back magic and seal it away once again, and so they did, but Abaddon didn't really agree to this conclusion and thus decided to wage a war against the other 5 gods. Eventually, he lost and was sealed away within the realm of torment, only to be destroyed much later by heroes, and his powers transferred to the newly born goddess of truth, Cormyr. I know, you're thinking, why does this matter? But I'll get to that. Anyhow, by reading the tome written by the apostate, we find that he is describing something similar to what we saw in our vision of the eternal alchemy. The author calls it the anti-cytheria, describing it as a cosmic mechanism made of many parts, all spinning around a central body known in ancient Crichton as Tyria. 6 large bodies orbit the world, existing in primal symbiosis. The energies move with the push and pull of positive and negative, ever in motion. Several things to point out here, obviously. Firstly, the name anti-cytheria, which takes the name from an ancient Greek device named the anti-cytheria mechanism, intended to predict astronomical positions and eclipses for calendrical and astrological purposes. For the longest time, I believed that ArenaNet had simply gotten their facts wrong on the relation between the name and the actual concept, because literally nothing other than the name would suggest that the anti-cytheria and the anti-cytheria would look alike, since this is what the real anti-cytheria looks like, or would look like, but what is usually described and portrayed in game looks much more similar to an armillary sphere, with the different spheres orbiting a central point in space. But funny enough, with the introduction of Heart of Thorns, we were suddenly able to simply create a tiny universe of our own, known as the legendary axe Astralaria. Throughout the process of creating Astralaria, you are asked to assemble many parts for the legendary to take shape, one of which is called the cosmic mechanism, and though the image is quite distorted by its minor size, we could actually interpret this cosmic mechanism to look much more like the anti-cytheria than any other device in the entire game. Now, the cosmic mechanism is a part of the precursor called the mechanism, which holds a tiny armillary sphere in the middle of it. Once you have the mechanism, you have only left to gather the essence of the cosmos and the surrounding magic. Specifically, you have to gather magic and energy from every single Elder Dragon, ley lines, and the mists. On top of that, you have to chart out the stars of all major entities, for only then can you create and understand the gift of the cosmos. And so obviously this got me thinking, what if we're dealing with a bigger concept than what we can easily schematicize or explain, something far more extensive than just the simple, isolated idea of an armillary sphere or the anti-cytheria mechanism? Now, I'll fully admit, ultimately, the biggest obstacle throughout my entire process of hypothesizing this theory was to understand the potential significance of the stars and the heavenly movements. It should come as no surprise to most players that something as simple as the sun, moon, and stars in the world of Tyria actually is an enormous mystery in and of themselves. We know that the existence of at least some stars seem to mirror certain powerful entities walking amongst us. As we also learn through the Astralaria collection, every spirit animal of the Norn, every human god, as well as certain char memorabilia are portrayed amongst the stars. These entities weren't made up after the discovery of the heavenly constellations. No, the stars took shape in their image. How do I know this? Well, for one, after the defeat of the Elder Dragon Saitan, if you enter the now ruined city of Ara and follow the Jotun path, you will end up in front of the biggest telescope in the game, built centuries ago. If you look through it, you will see a new star being born. This, to me, represents the birth of a new entity on par with all the previously mentioned entities. I believe that this star represents the birth of a new Elder Dragon. Now, the big fat question is then, how the hell does this make any sense? Why would these astronomical objects mirror the creation of life? And most importantly of all the questions, what is a star actually made of in the Guild Wars universe? Well, in the real world, the creation of a star is always caused by the destruction of another. The supernova created from the death of one star will push gases and other matter that float around in the void to form together. This process obviously happens over an extremely long period of time, but whatever. Now, if we are to visualize a supernova, I'd argue that the same explosive nature can be seen as Morgemoth is destroyed. Thus, the death of one fosters the birth of another. If this is true, what we're then seeing is a star being born, not necessarily from physical matter, but more likely it's actually being born from magic. The natural magical cycle of these powerful entities mirror that of the stars, and so the only logical conclusion that I can attest to as to what a star actually is would be to say that they are nothing more than magic, pure magic clumped together. But what I still cannot fathom is why, just why, the heavens would choose to mirror mortal entities. It might be a magical impersonation, it might be the universe paying homage to these entities. Honestly, it might be anything. It's such a shame sometimes that intergalactic travel isn't an option in this universe, right? Or is it? Centuries ago, a fellow named Lord Audrin, who is arguably one of the most powerful chronomancers to have ever existed, managed to bend time and space to his will in order to create portals through the center of the mists to almost every single world. He did this by entering through a location known only as the Rift. In the Guild Wars manuscripts, it is specifically mentioned that Lord Audrin learned to use the Rift to travel across the multiverse, and so during his travels he created a map, which we today call Lord Audrin's Map of the Mist. What he drew is what we by today's standards might reliably refer to as a heliocentric model of a given universe, or to elaborate, the map he created of what is supposed to be the mists looks more akin to our own more modern models of a solar system revolving around a sun, and yet it is referred to as the Map of the Mists. What is so interesting about this very map is that Audrin, a mortal man, visualized the planes of existence, which is so specifically called the multiverse, as a single heliocentric model, which is exactly what we might expect to find if we were to chart the heavens or take a spaceship and fly out into space. What's even more peculiar is that for whatever reason, as I mentioned just a second ago, he seems to have drawn a sun in the very center of the mists, but doesn't that completely contradict the idea that Tyria is at the center of the anti-cytheria? And also, why would there be a sun in the middle of the mists? This map is the only chart throughout the entirety of the Guild Wars universe which portrays a heliocentric model. Every other chart, map, and armillary we have in game shows a geocentric solar system revolving around Tyria. Everything from the vision we saw to the legendary scepter Meteorologicus and the legendary axe Astrolaria. Literally every clue points to the fact that Lord Audrin either described a completely different system of the universe or that he simply messed up. Now, if we for a moment believe that Lord Audrin wasn't completely cuckoo, it would seem that there perhaps exists several parallel systems which make up what we believe to be the All, which in turn supposedly represents all possible aspects of reality. So let's take a step back for a minute, because I believe that we need to understand the individual parts of the system before we can conclude upon the outcome of these interlocking parts. Most importantly, I believe that we need to understand exactly what binds everything together, and so to understand how the Guild Wars universe functions, first, let's take a look at our own universe. Think of it this way. In the real world, we have our universe, where all the planets, stars, galaxies, black holes, and flying spaghetti monsters roam, right? Semantically, we consider the universe to be a thing, per se. Though, in the grand scheme of all things considered, the universe is actually more akin to a whole lot of nothingness that is inhabited by tiny specks of something. These astronomically large areas of nothingness we call the void. Now, the significance of this void in our real world is somewhat inconsequential to our current discussion, so I'll leave the broader details for another time perhaps. Just know that in essence, the void is the area in between all matter in the universe. It is just a whole lot of nothing and dark matter, but again, let's not even go there. Now, if we are to believe that a somewhat similar astronomical structure exists in the virtual world of Guild Wars 2, what exactly is this void to us then? Well, I believe that our in-game equivalent of this nothingness actually consists of something, or at least a metaphysical something. I believe that the binding point between all points in space and time in the Guild Wars universe is the thing that we call the mists. As in, I believe that the entire universe was created within and possibly by the mists. This means that every different world, such as the Eternal Battlegrounds, the Underworld, the Fissure of Woe, the Heart of the Mists, the Hall of Heroes, the Realm of Torment, and many more, exist within the same base universe, but I don't believe that they exist on the same plane of reality. I believe that each of these many worlds exist within several pocket universes, within one grand universe. Though the theory of pocket universes is mostly applied to fiction, in our real world, the theory of pocket universes is one that may indeed define a realm which can contain our observable universe. Essentially, it's just a universe formed within a universe, either naturally or artificially by powerful entities centuries ago. This is exactly what I believe Lord Audrin means when he refers to the mists as a multiverse. In the middle of the mist is a spot where time moves neither forward nor back. It is a tear in the fabric of the cosmos, the point of perfect balance between all forces of the universe. This place is known as the Rift, and there is nothing to which it does not connect, nothing that cannot be reached from inside it. Those who have the know-how to travel across the universe through the mists must pass through the rift on their way to all other places. It is the center of all things. Now, in the theory of the mist consisting of a series of pocket universes, these would naturally all orbit a central point in the universe, which would mean that at the center of the map that Audrin made so long ago, he didn't put the sun at the center at all. He put the rift. But if we are to put on our tinfoil hats here for a second, in case you weren't already wearing yours, perhaps maybe, just maybe, the reason why Audrin portrayed the rift as a sun was because, in reality, the sun that we watch float above us every day is actually the rift. This thing right here is the very center of the universe in more ways than one. This would explain why in every single realm of existence we've ever come across, we still see the sun above us. But perhaps that is a theory to be expanded upon another time. So, what does all this talk about the mist have to do with the all? Well, I believe that the visual representation that we've regarded as the all for this entire time, indeed, is not the all. In fact, I believe that the true image of the all actually is this one, which is a notion that basically changes everything. For starters, our view of this entire cinematic is in for a wee work as we float through the mists. Each of these rings might as well represent just one of an infinite number of pocket universes, and what we arrive at is simply one of the many possible ones. But yeah, this one in particular should indeed represent Tyria. That's why this armillary structure isn't the only such structure we've seen before. For one, just take a look at the map of the Realm of Torment, a perfect mirroring of the same structure, because both of these worlds or universes exist in the same constant power struggle, the power struggle between the 6 core aspects of magic. On top of that, I would argue that each and every world or universe within the all also exists with this constant push and pull of energies. And so the reason why it's so extremely detrimental to understand the all is because the final page of the tome of the map of the all says that should the energies become imbalanced, the world will tilt and all beings will fall off into the void. I believe that what this means exactly is that if the energy of just one world becomes imbalanced, everything in every realm will forever crumble and be lost to the mists, much like you'd imagine a single cancer cell could corrupt the entire body. In fact, I believe that the entire reason why the human gods ever came to Tyria was because they thought that Tyria's magical balance was about to crumble. They thought that Tyria was dying. The Elder Dragons had for millennia upheld the natural balance of magic on the world of Tyria, just like we might imagine the gods must have done on their own respective world. But the last time the Elder Dragons awoke, in a desperate attempt to survive, the united sentient races decided to encapsulate a part of the all-encompassing magic within a bloodstone. The dragons went back to their slumber, and to the gods, Tyria might have looked as if the magic had been taken from the world of Tyria.
The last time the Elder Dragons awoke, they wiped out almost every intelligent race on the planet. It is from this low magic environment that the gods built the world as they wanted it. The gods expound on how Tyria's health is tied directly to them. This portion is somewhat abstract, however. There are varied theories on what it means, but I believe it refers to the natural balance of magic. Too much magic, and the world spins out of control. Too little, and it crumbles into darkness.
And so, according to legends, the gods began to gather magical artifacts and distribute the magic amongst the prominent races. But one god decided to go against the others and use the Bloodstone to gift magic to all the races of Tyria. As I told you earlier, this god was Abaddon, the god of secrets. A godly war was waged over this decision, and in the end, Abaddon was imprisoned. Now, here's the thing, right? If the gods came to Tyria to rebalance the magic, Abaddon must have realized that the only way to bring back this balance would be to release all magic onto the world again, so that the natural balance could play out and continue to be controlled by the true guardians of the Tyrian realm, the Elder Dragons. Either that, or Abaddon wanted to help the sentient races by giving them the means to change their world. But given the fact that Abaddon really doesn't seem to be a kind fellow, I honestly guess that his true motive was to simply restore balance to the All, so that the All may continue to live. A noble cause, I'll give him that, but, well, we'd die. This theory of the gods' involvement would infer that 1. Sentient beings on Tyria are meant to live, die, and be replaced with the cycles of the Elder Dragons, and 2. The 5 other gods either became too protective of their favorite races or extremely ignorant of their initial purpose of restoring the magical balance, as they sought to destroy Abaddon's legacy and erase him from history. Personally, I'd wager on the first one to be true. But after the battle, the gods left the world, presumably to return to their own worlds or pocket universes, as I believe even they could not stop what was about to befall the Tyrian realm. Among them was Abaddon, once secret keeper, now betrayer. How you have fallen from the glorious days of old. What passed beyond in the mists, only you remember. This truth is what I believe to be Abaddon's greatest secret, but for now, let's leave this part of the theory for a future video, shall we? Because I'm not all done explaining what the All is. Alright, let's backtrack here for a second, because there are so many aspects of this theory, some of which I only tangentially touch on, and so it's easy to lose sight of the finish line. So, to condense this theory a bit, I believe that this visual representation is the All, a universe containing a possibly infinite number of pocket universes individually referred to as anti-cytheria, each of which exists in a constant magical power struggle, and only by maintaining the natural balance within each pocket universe can the All exist without falling into darkness. As long as every single world is in balance, the All is safe. You with me so far? If so, tighten your tinfoil hat, because we're going in deeper. I believe that the All is a living thing. I believe that the All is the closest thing we will ever get to a true supreme being, much more so than just an Elder Dragon or a god. The All is the creator and sustainer of the entire universe. Now, as much as this might sound like the description of a true god in a universe filled with false gods, I believe that to a certain extent, conceptually, the All was created by ArenaNet to resemble an amalgamation of different supreme beings, but also And most importantly, I believe that the all is supposed to resemble Yggdrasil, the world tree, with the crown at the top and the roots at the bottom. In Norse mythology, Yggdrasil is the binding force between these 7 realms. It holds together every corner of these realms, nothing more, nothing less really. For all intents and purposes, it seems to be exactly what I've just described as the all, but I believe that the all is much more intricate in that compared to Yggdrasil, the all has a will, or a mind, if I may. Now, what if I told you that I believe that much like many other deities have done throughout religion, in a time of peril, the all chose a champion to help bring balance to the Tyrian realm. And who fits that description better than the Pale Tree herself? The narrative parallels between Yggdrasil and the Pale Tree are undeniable. For one, in Norse mythology, at the roots of Yggdrasil there lies a dragon that constantly gnaws at the roots. In the living story, however, Mordramoth attacks the Pale Tree, and after this attack, it is said that her roots took heavy damage. This would explain why we hear the voice of the Pale Mother as we see the all. Now, first of all, the Pale Mother might as well actually just be an incarnation of the all instead of simply being a champion of it. Either way, this theory should hold true, as she is one of the most mysterious characters in the game, actually. Secondly, to anyone simply countering this theory by saying that the Pale Mother is nothing more than a former servant of Mordramoth, to that I have only to say that Jesus was born in a mortal shell as well, but that doesn't make his status as the Son of God any less believable to millions of people around the globe now, does it? The process of creating this champion or incarnation might have taken centuries for a butterfly effect to have any meaningful impact. If we are to believe that each and every godlike or elder being in fact has an astronomical counterpart in the form of a star or a universe, why wouldn't it also make sense that the most powerful entity also could have a Tyrian counterpart? Now, as I've explained my theory of the all as being an astronomical entity floating in the mists comprised of a possibly infinite number of pocket universes, all governed by the same laws of magic, what exactly is to become of us now? We, the inhabitants of the Tyrian realm, are, for lack of a better word, a growing cancer cell, exactly because we aim to change the structure of the balance that has existed within this pocket universe for millennia. Currently, we're aiming to destroy the chosen guardians of the Tyrian realm, the Elder Dragons. So if we can't find a way to properly manage the excess flow of magic released from the dead dragons, the world will spin out of control and we will be the cause of the destruction of this entire universe, as well as every other universe within the all. Now, for one, we know that it's possible to have realm guardians with a wider spectrum of sentience than the Elder Dragons. Take, for example, the human gods. If we assume they are the guardians of another realm, perhaps we might be able to foster wiser guardians of our own, who won't just destroy us given the chance. At the end of the Heart of Thorn story, the magic from Mordramoth is scattered throughout. Most notably, a portion of it goes directly to Gulin's egg. The only dilemma with this egg is the fact that not one creature can inherit all aspects of magic, and so for all eternity there will always exist a need to have at least 6 guardians. I know that officially ArenaNet claims that their reasoning behind the latest rework of the Shatterer was due to a simple bug fix, but actually lore-wise this change makes perfect sense, as the Shatterer possibly could have absorbed just as much magic as Gulin's egg did. But I guess ArenaNet aren't too keen on publicly saying this just yet, like they did with Tequatl, and to this day we still only have the theory of magical distribution to go on in terms of finding an answer, which some people are still somewhat sour about, so I can understand ArenaNet's decision to just label it as a bug fix for now. Either way, my point is, Gulin's egg won't be enough, and according to Abaddon, it doesn't seem that the Bloodstones are an option either, so we can only hope that not all Elder Dragons are tyrants, or that someday we might find a more reliable solution before it's too late. But then again, perhaps the all isn't the only world tree in the mists. Perhaps an entire garden of these things exists, a pocket universe within a pocket universe, all enclosed by the mists. So if we mess up, perhaps we should just concentrate on intergalactic travel instead. Imagine this garden of metaphysical trees being grown in the mists by entities far beyond our understanding. I would absolutely love to say that these guys are the gardeners of this astro-botanical garden floating in the mists, but that would just be wishful thinking for another time perhaps. In short, this is one of those scenarios in which I at least start to feel really small in comparison to what is out there. Anyhow, I love to hear your thoughts, theories, and speculations on this topic in the comment section down below. This topic is something I've been contemplating for a long time, and as you can possibly tell, I've still got 1,000 unspoken thoughts in my head regarding several aspects of the all. But for now, that's all I've got for you guys this time. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, I will see you in the mists.